Now, peace and greeting on all who are watching us live today. Welcome to our live webinar. We have two leaders from our community, two great speakers with us join, Suraj Patel and Mir Masum Ali. I would like to introduce our main speaker, Suraj Patel. Suraj Patel was born in Mississippi. He earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science from Stanford University in 2005. He then received a Juris Doctorate from New York University School of Law in 2009. In 2014, Patel earned his Master's of Philosophy from University of Cambridge. Patel has served as the president of the Sun Group of Companies since 2011. He has been a founding team member of the Arena since 2016. He has also co-founder of Creative Caucus in 2016. Patel has also served as an adjunct professor of business ethics at NYU Stern School of Business since 2015. I welcome Suraj Patel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Burak. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and your community and hear from you as well.
Thank you. And now our other speaker, Masum Ali, who is the president of New York Muslim Civic Engagement. Masum Ali works for the community empowerment for the Bangladeshi and Greater New York City Muslim immigration communities throughout a variety of different social organizations. Executive board member of MUNA, advisory committee member of Bangladeshi. He is very active in government efforts for New York City Muslims and fundraising efforts for New York City elections in the hopes of educating Muslims on the value of political and civic engagement. I welcome Masum Ali.
Thank you. Thank you, Burak.
Thank you for both of you. We are feeling honored with your presence and for accepting our invitation. Today, we would like to talk about the current climate of racism and the protests during these difficult times. We as Muslim Americans face discrimination and Islamophobia as our fellow African American citizens. My first question, before we dive more into the current problems we are facing, I would like to ask Professor Patel, can you tell us about yourself and your campaign? What do you promise to make our district, New York 12, better?
Well, thank you very much again for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. As Burak mentioned, I'm Suraj Patel. I'm an attorney and a professor of business ethics at NYU. And I used to work for the greatest president of our lifetimes, Barack Obama. I worked in his campaigns and his White House. And those are the professional experiences I've had. But I'm also the son of Champak and Naina Patel, two immigrants who came from India to this country with almost nothing in the late 1960s. And the experience of growing up as a brown man in America, as an immigrant who got to see his parents sacrifice so much for the opportunities I got to have. It colors my experience and my lens through which I will represent you. One of my first memories are when I was 5 years old. We ran a little store, a bodega, as a family. And my family would wake up at 5 in the morning on Sundays to put the New York Times together into a whole paper so that we could make 5 or 10 extra cents selling it. It's a testament to the power of the American dream of opportunity, education, and mobility, that the son of somebody who is putting together the paper one piece at a time to make 5 cents more is now written in that paper in print as a candidate for U.S. Congress. I'm asking for your support because I'm just like you. And my experience is a lot like yours.
Yeah, this is a really great. Yeah, we are all immigrants as well, and we feel as Americans as just like other citizens, and we are here to stay. And hearing that from you, Professor Patel, it really like pushes us to go forward with the civic engagement and with the political activities. Thank you. And my next question, the brother Masum, please feel free to contribute as you see fit as well during these questions. We as Muslim Americans, like facing racism in every level of society, such as work, street, school. Like what actions can you do, Professor Patel, for us in District New York 12 to reduce racism, xenophobia, or Islamophobia from top to bottom?
Full stop. Let me say that I will never condone, do not condone discrimination on basis of religion of any kind, and we have to have leaders out there who are very clear about that. Now, I support hate crimes legislation. I myself have been the victim of crimes because of the skin color that I have. I've been called un-American, so I feel your pain, and we have an obligation to root this out every single time it comes up. Now, this is a big difference between me and the current incumbent Congresswoman, Representative Maloney. Yeah. In 2001, Representative Maloney wore, in a racist way, wore a burqa to the House floor as a prop and congratulated the Bush administration on conducting war with compassion when we were dropping bombs onto Afghanistan. That's not a progressive. That's not a acceptable thing. And you need to call that out and root it out right when it happens.
Yeah, definitely. These type of acts are totally not acceptable as Muslim Americans. And it really attacks our harmony and the fabric. And we are all living here together with peace, with different ethnicities. And we appreciate you feel the pain because yourself went through those similar ordeals and difficult tribulations. That is really important. And perhaps the form of racism we see from law enforcement today with the current protests we see are clear. Like, what about the other type of hidden discriminations at higher level, like getting declined for job opportunities, or even the current president and the speeches that he gives in rallies that fuels white supremacy? What promises do you make to prevent, so we all Muslims, Hindus, all minorities live in peace and harmony all together? Perhaps like supporting with the legislations, what action items that we all can do, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, so I support expanded hate crimes laws and definitions. I believe that disparate impact is discrimination. And so when it comes to employment hiring, when it comes to discrimination for financial services and things like that, that has to be called out as racism, because that's what we're talking about. Millions of people are marching every day on the street right now because the systems we've built are stained with the legacy of white supremacy. And the laws we built are as well. And so we have to do so much to change that, but it's not going to happen with the people who caused those problems in the first place being in office. And so I think to get real change, we have to change our leadership.
Mr. Patel, can I jump in on what have you done lately with the rally in your district? Because I'm in Staten Island, District 8, and my congressman, which we elect him after 20 years of Republican Congress, basically with 28 organization coalition, we changed it. 11,000 vote we, myself and our community work on, and North and Brooklyn made it. He did not even press statement. He did not come. So what we have done so far to for the rally and supporting the Black Lives Matters?
Well, thank you very much, Mir, for asking. I have done everything I can. I've marched in a lot of protests this week. I've marched on the Upper East Side. I've marched at Washington Square Park. I've marched in Brooklyn. So I've marched in several protests. I've gone and offered and handed out PPE during these protests. And then we've also written a lot of policy on what the federal government needs to do, what Congress must act. You see, the aspirations of the millions of people on the street need to be turned into laws next, you know? And so ending police brutality demilitarizing the police force. Those are the goals that we should be talking about every single day as well. So I'm out there arm in arm with you brothers marching, and I am also out here proposing bold new policy around these ideas.
Yeah, that's really great. I see, and I can testify from your Twitter photos marching with different locations.
Yeah.
That is really great to see our leaders joining as well. As you mentioned, police brutality. As we know, the NYPD budget is $6 billion, and more than the money we spend on healthcare, youth, and workforce development, all of them combined. Like, do you suggest this budget should be reduced, or this is perhaps more local question? And also connection to this question, the NYPD, some of our police force is being trained in Israel, and we see a lot of similar incidents and tribulations, the way the Israeli police and army is acting towards Palestinians, and also our police force here in the States are acting towards us, towards our citizens. Do you have any solutions to this for the budget as well, and as well as the training of our police force?
100%, yes. While that is a local issue, I'm not afraid to speak out on it.
Yeah.
I do believe we spend way too much money policing in our country. In fact, for example, the city of Chicago, 40% of its general budget is spent on policing, which means we are spending a tremendous amount of money in Black and brown communities, but we're doing it on the wrong things. We're spending it on over-policing, over-surveilling, over-arresting into an unjust criminal justice system, rather than utilizing that money to create economic opportunity and education and vitality for our neighborhoods. So I'm a firm believer that we should reallocate police budgets to other things. I also am a believer in the idea that we have to have police forces that are trained in mandatory de-escalation strategies. We have to demilitarize our police forces. Studies show that forces that do not have militarized sort of equipment and training have significantly lower levels of police brutality incidents, police violence incidences, and those police forces, those cities are still just as safe. So we need to do both of those things. And I think one big thing I am a huge proponent of is we need to ban the practice of, we have a massive defense budget in this country. We spend more on defense than anything else in this country, all the other things combined. And that defense budget is so bloated that the military gets weapons they don't need. And they have been then donating those weapons to state and local police departments. But we need to ban the practice of military weapons from the US military getting in the hands of police departments because we overspend on the military in the first place.
Yeah, that's really great to hear.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mr. Patel, I have a quick question. Since you will be the federal government as a Congress, what the Congress is giving, you are right, the defense budget is overwhelming, and that most of the unused weapon goes to the local police. Also, the training is important because, as you know, even though there is a minorities in police department, but their culture, because I was joining one of the NYPD citizenship certificate about 10 weeks, and we saw the training materials they have used. It's really a racist one,
right?
So that training need to be changed. So what will contribute you to, because you are in the federal government, you will be in the Congress, and you need how are you going to work on it?
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. Congress needs to enact, first, full stop, they should enact a nationwide ban on the practice of chokeholds. The practice is inhumane, and it doesn't work, and there are plenty of alternatives. There are things that U.S. Congress, I will admit to you that the vast majority of police brutality acts occur at the criminal justice issues are ones that are affected at the state and local, primarily local level. And we need more people voting in these municipal elections to vote for people who champion reducing mass incarceration, certainly. At the same time, Congress can still act via sticks and carrots. It does fund lots of grants to police departments, and they need to fund grants to de-escalate, de-escalation training, and demilitarize, and they need to restrict funding based upon a set of strategies that we know we need to make ourselves safer and have lower incidence of brutality and militarization.
This is also the culture inside the police department. Is a really a
Yeah,
white supremacist culture taking over. No matter the law change, but culture inside is really noticeable. It needs to be changed.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. I agree.
I will perhaps change the topic a little bit and talk about the current crisis with our healthcare and hospital systems.
Yes.
Especially with the virus, we all saw that our capacity and our system was broken. What changes do you propose, Professor Patel, for our healthcare system and for all of us to have an easy access to universal?
Yes. So I'm a supporter of Medicare for all. I believe that everyone should have healthcare in this country, and they should have it regardless of their age and zip code of their birth. So I'm a supporter of Medicare for all. But you touched on a bigger point. The coronavirus crisis laid bare the failure of decades of neglect on action on inequality and racial disparity in our inequality. Did you know you had a 1.5 times higher likelihood of dying from coronavirus, the same disease, if you lived in public housing versus if you did not? So we are finding ourselves in a situation where people are dying because they're poorer or blacker in our country for the same things that aren't killing others. Once again, disparate impact is discrimination. So I'm a supporter of Medicare for all. I believe we need massive investment increases in our scientific research and development budget. I think we need more NIH funding and federal research on everything from pandemics to climate change to mitigation. Coronavirus is a really, obviously devastating blow to our healthcare system and our economy. I myself had COVID-19 in March and was able to recover in a week and a half or so. And in that week and a half, I wrote the first universal testing plan for coronavirus. That's 3 weeks before Congress even thought of it. And then I wrote a piece about increasing our federal research and development budget for diseases, for climate, etc. To a scale that we had in the late 60s during the space race. We used to invest 2% of our GDP in federal research and development. That number is less than 1.3% now. So that's a significant underinvestment, I think, in some of the basic science we need to tackle these problems for the future.
Yeah, it's really important. As a Turkish American Steering Committee, we visited many hospitals and donated millions of PPEs. Some of the elected officials like Congresswoman Clark or Congressman Praskil from Jersey, they also joined with the hospitals. For the hospital that we were donating in New Jersey, the CEO of the hospital told us that today we just ran out of PPEs and we did not know what we were going to use for tomorrow. And you guys came and like all of a sudden out of nothing, and this was donated. And seeing and hearing this from a small hospital in Jersey, and they do not have the supplies from the federal government, it was kind of heartbreaking and emotional. And
well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like we saw as people, ordinary people were doing extraordinary things. I myself donated $10,000 of food and snacks and supplies to Elmhurst Hospital, which was one of the hardest hit hospitals in the city in Queens, even though it's outside my district because it was hit so hard. We also donated $5,000 worth of food and stuff to Center of Hope Bread Pantry in Long Island City, which serves residents of public housing. So we've been able to really jump into action in a way that some of the currently elected representatives have just disappeared on the scene. I don't even know where Representative Maloney is right now. Whereas we are out in the streets, we're donating food, we're donating supplies, we're doing all the work that the city and government failed to provide.
Mr. Patel, this incident, even though it was a very, yes, it was a very short-term project, but look at the hospital situation in New York. Since 2001, we lost a huge number of hospitals in New York. It is not overnight issues. It's a long-term issues that only big corporations are winning the small hospitals and taking it away. What are the solutions do you think is will help us to for future incidents like this?
Well, we need to honestly invest in community hospitals and get federal funding for New York's budget shortfall. First thing and foremost is that, as Governor Cuomo stated, unless we get help from the federal government, we're going to end up cutting 25% of our fire budget, of our school budget, of our hospital budget. I mean, we already got nailed with coronavirus, and then and the economic impacts of that. We can't just be left on our own. We're the center of the coronavirus pandemic, and the federal government needs to do more. And it's incumbent upon our representatives to do that.
So you are for Medicare for all?
I'm for Medicare for all. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And my next question will be, perhaps the minimum wage we all know is $15. And I myself work for Amazon as a software engineer, and Amazon pledged to offer $15 for all the employees. And New York is $15. Other states, perhaps there are states that $13, $12, or $14. What is your proposal to make the minimum wage nationwide for all other states as well for $15?
Yeah, I mean, I support the fight for 15 nationally. I think that we should have a national minimum wage standard that's $15, and that should rise automatically with inflation, so we don't find ourselves in the position like we do now to have to go and update the unemployment, the minimum wage number, and fall behind, which is what has happened right now. We just haven't done an increase in so long that it's not worth anything.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And we as Muslims in New York City is 1.2 million, almost 15% of the entire New York City. I'm not sure particularly in New York 12th district, but we have many centers and locations. Among those, what do you like when you are elected? Do you like, can we expect to have a Muslim staff member working for you in your office?
100%. 100%.
Wow,
absolutely.
That's really great. That's a really, really great, excellent news for us as Muslim American. Yeah.
Have you visited any Muslim centers lately in your district?
So I was trying to. Our district, for your viewers, is Upper East Side to Lower East Side, Astoria, Long Island City, and Greenpoint and Williamsburg. So in Astoria, I proudly 2 years ago campaigned so hard for the Bangladeshi community that is there, because there's a fairly large pocket, and would love to have their support. Now, coronavirus has made campaigning a little bit more difficult. There are no mosques that are open. There are no community centers that are open. So I haven't been able to physically attend, but the minute that we reopen up, you can expect me there. You know,
so before coronavirus, you went a couple of centers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and 2 years ago when I ran for Congress, we did the iftar at the mosque in Astoria. I have visited several times here in East Village as well. So I am a proud supporter, and again would love to have that support this time as one of your own.
Yeah, that is really great news. When the primaries are next week, we have like 1 week left, and when hopefully when you win the primaries, do you expect like a Muslim to kind of help you with the primaries for the general election for the campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now we 2 years ago we had Muslim staff members. Right now I don't have any to knowledge, but I'm sure that we do. We have some organizing fellows that are Muslim right now on our team.
Yeah,
already.
Okay,
Wow.
so if you in the primary, if you win, hopefully you will win because I see a good number, only 9% difference last 2018. Will you hire that? We like to give you because we have a good number of people that were expert on the election campaign. Will you hire that we recommend people to you as in, and then later on, which we recommend to hire not a Muslim, but we recommend someone to be your staff. Would you do that?
Yeah, I'd consider anybody. Of course, of course. Look, like I mentioned to you, I'm a proud supporter of diversity. I'm an embodiment of it
Yeah.
myself, and uh, I absolutely would. And yeah, and of course we do already, like I said, have Muslim staff members on our team.
That's great.
I think
Yeah.
Nadia that you were communicating with on our team earlier, you know, that's who you were communicating with.
Yeah,
Is
Nadia.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I think you answer from my side, at least answer all the questions. That was really great to hear your excellent answers. That was great, great, Professor Patel. Brother Masum, do you have any questions from your side or?
Yes, one thing, Mr. Patel, that I was looking yesterday, all the website in your candidate, about 4 people are running. And last year, 2018 election, you lost only 9% vote. What are the strategy you have in your area to regain that 9%? Number one. Number two, have good number of projects in your district. Have you tried to reach them out? Because what I have seen, because I do also door knocking, the last congressional district, I went to 1,500 houses myself. Sorry, 975 houses, and over 15% I met personally to push for election. Have you have any staff who can reach out those projects? Because that if you don't hire people from that area, they don't recognize you. So what are the
Yeah.
strategies you have taken that?
Yeah, good questions. I do like talking about strategy. We are poised to win this race. We know that we have the name recognition, the momentum, and the staff to do it. We're making hundreds of thousands of phone calls to remind people to vote, and to vote by mail and to vote early. This is the first time in New York history you can vote by mail, and I think we're going to take advantage of that to get a lot more people of color and young people to vote than typically do in a primary to win this race. We also are currently campaigning in public housing, as you mentioned, and developments, and are doing that in a variety of ways, including door knocks and literature and things like that. So, the path to victory is very simple. We need to hold the people we won 2 years ago, and then persuade a few thousand Maloney voters to switch directions. And we're finding already that is happening because lots of people are hungry for change this year. That you see the people marching on the street. It's a year that says status quo is no longer acceptable to us, and we're going to change that status quo.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like among at least youngsters, with my friends, I feel the same.
I have one more question. The survey 2010, the survey said you have 46.9% male and 53.1% female, and about 11.6% are Asian, and 13.9% are Hispanic. How you are reaching to them? Because 9%, you have to catch up that 9% that you were missing with last year. She had long history of political arena. So what are your strategy to reach out those?
Yeah, like I said, I think the bulk of what we're doing is phone calls. We're making phone calls to hundreds of thousands of people. We're sending emails and digital media. So, I mean, the strategy is not sexy, but it is a lot of work. But just making tons and tons of phones to people who are going to be voting and or trying to convince them to vote.
One more question, because I do also phone banking. What are the rates of your response picking up the phone when you call? Because that's the only way now we can reach. Male and phone
Right.
banking. You cannot do the door knocking, except
Exactly.
use the people in the project, or if you can use the same building the resident, they can go to their house. You cannot send in outsider. I think that is very important if you can. So my question is, what is the rate of your phone banking response?
About 10 to 15% or so people answer the phone, and we tend to call them, try each person 3 or 4 times throughout a cycle. So I mean, we end up talking to about 30-35% of people like that. And so it's not as good as doors, but it is still what we can do in the coronavirus moment, you know?
Yeah.
What are the number of your prime voters? Because primary normally, hopefully this year will be much better because of
Yeah.
So what is the number of your prime voters in your district?
So prime voters in our district are about 45,000.
Okay.
And that's how many voted 2 years ago as well. So now you're right. But what's changing a bit is vote by mail, and the ballot request form going to every single person. You can request a mail-in ballot by sending your ballot in. And a lot of people we're hearing are doing it that typically don't vote in primaries because it's so easy and they're stuck at home anyway.
So I will request you to, as soon as those people receive the ballot, absentee ballot, try to reach again with the phone that have you sent your absentee.
Yeah.
Because
And
sometimes
that's what we're doing now.
they reach the mail and they throw it out. Or
Yeah, or forget, or they just let it go. Yeah. Which is exactly why we're pushing it hard.
Yeah, that's really great, and we felt the honor for participating in this talk. And as Turkish Americans, as Muslim Americans, and we really like your answers, and especially feeling the same tribulations that you went through with the discrimination and xenophobia, and that kind of makes us feel we are closer to you than others. And really, we are honored, and I really appreciate for coming and participating and telling your story and your campaign to our viewers. And also thank you, brother Masum Ali, for joining with us. And I know you work really hard every election, especially primaries, to knock from door to door. This season wasn't your time, but I'm sure you're still trying hard online with
it's
social media.
My pleasure to do that. This year, we are planning for 25,000 Muslim voters to organize. And in your area, I'm going to reach out the masjid to voter registration. So hopefully we'll reach to them. And I have about 7,000 Muslim voter lists in your district as well. So we are having some volunteer to reach out them to go to vote. So hopefully we'll see a winner and one of our brother to be in the Congress.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Rock and Mir. And please, yes, if you have those lists, I can email you afterwards, but we'd love to have your support in turning those people out to vote June 23, because that's a lot of people. That could be our margin that you were talking about.
Yes, we are going to the phone banking, all those. But can I some contact with some of your staff that we can find out, because I have an assembly district only. So if you call district, I can get some list of the name so that I can have I have volunteer all over the country. Phone banking.
Amazing. That'd be incredible.
You can do anywhere. So somebody can share with me their voter list, and we can find out, identify those are Muslims, and then we can reach out to them.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all. Thank you, Professor Patel, and thank you, Brother Masum. Thank you for all the support and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Task and Burak, and all of you guys to arrange this meeting. Thank you.
Yep. Great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Talk soon.
Thank you. Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.